Today, we're going to dive into a feeling that's, well, it's pretty hard to ignore, and honestly, even harder to talk about. It's this tension that sits right at the heart of our modern society, our relationships, and our own search for freedom. And it all kicks off with one very provocative question.
Look, you've probably heard some version of this idea, right? Or maybe you've even felt it yourself. You look around, you see broken homes, you see what feels like a loss of traditional values, and yeah, the timeline seems to line up with the rise of female independence. But is it really cause and effect? Or is there something much, much deeper going on that we're all kind of missing? So let's just step back for a second into that era that some people get so nostalgic about. On one hand, there's this idealized picture, isn't there? A sense of stability, clear roles, strong family bonds. But, that's only half the story. The flip side of all that stability was often silence. The silence of dreams that were just sacrificed, of abuse that went unreported, and of a deep, profound lack of freedom for women to leave situations that were literally crushing them.
And that right there brings us to the real heart of the issue. What if the problem isn't women's independence at all? What if the real struggle, for everybody, is that we've gained all these incredible new freedoms, but our emotional and ethical wisdom just hasn't caught up yet? This isn't about gender. This is a fundamental human challenge.
There's actually a name for this whole phenomenon: liberation without preparation. It's what happens when any group, after being held back for a long, long time, suddenly gets a taste of freedom but doesn't have the moral framework to handle it. That's when you get this really dangerous confusion between I can do whatever I want and I know what is the right thing to do.
And without that moral prep work, a pretty predictable and troubling pattern can start to play out. First, the newly free group sometimes starts copying the worst behaviors of those who used to have power over them. Then, that can quickly morph into this culture of me first, all about narcissism and instant gratification, where relationships just become disposable. And the final, most dangerous stage? People start justifying harmful actions, basically switching off their empathy just to chase their own personal happiness.
And let's be absolutely crystal clear about this. This pattern has nothing to do with being a man or a woman. This is a flaw in human nature, and it can show up anywhere that power and freedom shift without a matching growth in responsibility.
And if you think this is some new, modern problem, well, history would like a word. Just look at this parallel. Back in the industrial era, when a lot of men gained this incredible financial power they'd never had before, what happened? Some used that power to just indulge themselves, justifying affairs with excuses like, I work hard, I deserve it. Okay, now fast forward to today. As many women gain similar independence, we hear the exact same kinds of justifications for breaking commitments, just with different words. He didn't make me happy. The psychology is identical. Only the time period and the people have changed.
And this pattern doesn't just play out in relationships, it can scale up to entire societies. Think about post-colonial India. After finally getting freedom from British rule, some people in the new ruling class ended up adopting the very same elitist and exploitative habits of their former colonizers. It's a powerful and kind of scary repeating cycle of human behavior.
Okay, so this theory is pretty fascinating, right? But what does it actually look like in the real world? How does this clash between our personal freedom and our ethical responsibility actually show up day to day? Well, a famous moment on television put this exact dilemma on full display for everyone to see.
This simple phrase, "it's her choice," comes from the TV show Roadies. A contestant admitted he slapped his girlfriend for cheating, and when the judge, Neha Dupia, responded with that line, the internet just exploded. But why? Because that one little sentence became the flashpoint for a huge, messy debate about freedom and consequences.
And here's exactly why it was so divisive. On one side, Neha was defending an absolute principle: freedom from violence. No betrayal, no matter how painful it is, ever gives someone the right to physically assault another person. But the public backlash latched onto the other side of that coin: responsibility. By saying it's her choice, a lot of people felt she was excusing the infidelity and just ignoring the massive emotional harm that comes from breaking that sacred trust.
This brings up a really crucial distinction we all need to get our heads around. Some freedoms, in any relationship, are just absolute. They're non-negotiable human rights. The freedom from violence, The freedom to have your own thoughts and opinions, to work or to learn, to have control over your own body. A partner can never limit these things, period.
But then there's this whole other category, what we can call trust-bound freedoms. These are the freedoms you voluntarily agree to limit when you enter a committed relationship. You know, things like dating other people or making huge life-changing decisions all by yourself. And this isn't about being controlled. It's about mutual respect for the trust you're trying to build together.
Think of it this way. A relationship is like a shared road. You have the absolute freedom to drive your car, but you voluntarily agree to follow the traffic rules. Those are the trust-bound agreements. Because if you start driving recklessly, you put the person traveling with you in danger. An act of betrayal isn't just breaking a rule, it's causing an accident that shatters the trust you both need to travel together safely.
So where does all this leave us? You know, maybe we've been asking the wrong question the whole time. Instead of looking backward, instead of trying to point fingers and assign blame, what if we ask something way more powerful? How can all of us, men and women together, build a future where our ambitions and our compassion can coexist? Where we can have that personal freedom and the emotional wisdom to build nurturing, lasting bonds? That right there is the real challenge and the real opportunity for all of us.